Story time of how my first boyfriend lasted less than 24 hours. So at the beginning of this year, I started going on dates with this guy that I had matched with on a dating app. We started going out, I think it was like mid-February all the way until about the end of March, I think. So a month and a half to 2 months. And in that span, we went on a total of 6 dates. So I'm gonna walk you guys through all 6 dates and what those looked like. First date, we meet up at a sushi restaurant, and honestly, everything went really well. The vibes were good, the conversation was flowing. Towards the end of dinner, you could both kind of tell like we didn't want the date to end, and so he suggested that we walk to the bar down the street and get espresso martinis, and I was like, okay, twist my arm. So we go to the bar down the street. Again, it's like February during this time. It's cold outside. Like, he gives me his jacket as we walk to the bar. We're having a good time at the bar, drinking espresso martinis. Like, it's good. Everything is good. At the end of the day, he was like, okay, let's do this again. And I'm like, yes, great, perfect. Second date, this one is a little bit crazier. So we had planned to meet at this park that has this really nice walking trail. It's like around a pond. It's very vibey. We were doing this on a Sunday afternoon. I was like, oh, that's so cute. Like Sunday afternoon date vibes. Like we're going for a little walk, and there was like a brewery nearby. I was like, we're going to go to this brewery, like very chill. Well, we were meeting at this park, and I pull up for this date. I made a TikTok. Also, pause and preface, if you followed me in February and March, you probably remember me posting TikToks and updates about dates with this man. Well, most of those TikToks, actually all of those TikToks have since been deleted because I did actually delete them in a fit of rage. So, my bad on that, but it doesn't matter because I'm gonna spill all the tea right now. So anyways, second date, we're meeting at this park to walk, brewery, whatever. So I pull up to the park where we're walking at, and I'm there early because I'm crazy and I hate being late. So I'm like 10 minutes early, and I'm sitting there, and he texts me like 5 minutes after I get there, so 5 minutes before we're supposed to meet. And he's like, oh my gosh, like, you're not gonna believe this, but like, I was on the way and somebody rear-ended me at a red light. And I was like, oh my God, like, like, are you okay? Like, is everything fine? And I think, like, when he told me that, I was like, is he lying to me right now? Like, that's just, like, really bizarre, And it did turn out to be true. Like, somebody really did rear end him, which now I'm like, not good, but, I know, I don't wish that on people. No, I don't wish that. He ends up like sending me a photo. He FaceTimes me to show me, to like prove to me, because I think he could hear my voice. And I was like, oh, like, are you okay? Like, I think he could tell that I thought like maybe it was like a cop out. But anyways, I was like, oh my gosh, like, like, I'm so sorry. Like, don't even worry about the date today. Like, take care of that. That's a lot to deal with, whatever. He was like, no, like, I still want to go on the date. So guys, I ended up picking him up from the site of the wreck because the car has to get towed. And so I pick him up, we end up going to eat and going to walk somewhere else. And that was that. It was good. Like, I was like, oh, like this shows that also when I picked him up, he was standing outside of a gas station because he got hit at a red light that was right next to a gas station. Like, got me an Alani while he was at the gas station to like thank me for picking him up. And so I was like, oh, like this is so sweet. Like, he still wants to go on a date with me after getting rear-ended, and like gets me a present. Like, this is so good, whatever. So second date, I was like, oh my gosh, like this guy is so solid. Third date, we go to a Mexican restaurant. I don't know, it's just like solid dinner vibes. And between the second and the third date, there was like a 2-week period where we didn't do anything because like he got sick and then I got sick. And even when we went on the date to the Mexican restaurant, I was like still like low-key kind of sick. Like, I literally went to the doctor that day to get antibiotics, but I was like, I cannot cancel this date because like it has been so long since we've gone on a date. So I was like, I'm just gonna suck it up. Like, I have antibiotics in my system now. Like, I'm going on this date. And so I was a trooper. So we go to this Mexican restaurant. Everything is good. And this Mexican restaurant was really close to his house. I had not been to his house, but I knew that it was close to his house. And so we were done with dinner, and he convinces me to come back over to his house, which normally this is not something that I would do, but I was like, I don't know, like, my friends have my location, like, they know where I'm at. Like, I told them where I was going. I was like, listen, I'm going to this guy's house. please, check on me after a while. We just go over, we play games, we do trivia. Like, it's a very chill vibes. It was chill, normal, whatever. So that was the third date. The fourth date, we go to, no, hold on. I'm trying to remember because I'm like, honestly, I forgot a lot of this because I like kind of blocked it out of my memory because trauma. Just kidding. I'm being dramatic. But fourth day, yes, okay. I went back over to his house one night and cooked dinner for this man from scratch. I made him chicken marsala, garlic bread with butter, and garlic roasted potatoes, and I had a veggie too. Oh, I did like a bag Caesar salad because I made like the marsala sauce all from scratch. All from scratch. Like, y'all, I was in this man's kitchen, like, and he was outside while I was cooking. He was like outside doing yard work the whole time. Like, I was like, literally felt like we were cosplaying, like husband wife, like type vibes. I was like, oh, like he's in the yard working and I'm in here like I'm making my man dinner. Like, girl, you look like a fool. You look stupid. You look dumb. But anyways, so that was the fourth date. I went over to his house, cooked him dinner. We like watched TV after that, just talked, chilled, whatever. Fifth date, we went to a rodeo because I had told him many times how, like, I've always wanted to go to a rodeo. I tried to go to a rodeo before with my friend, and it was like at an outdoor venue, and it ended up raining, like a torrential downpour. We got soaked, didn't get to see any of the rodeo. And so he was like, oh my gosh, like, there is an upcoming rodeo, like, we're definitely gonna go. So he gets the tickets, and we go to the rodeo. Like, he takes this, y'all, I bring my G7X camera because at the end of the day, I'm gonna get the fire picture, and I don't care if I'm on a date with a man who, like, I don't even fully feel that comfortable around yet. Like, baby, you're gonna take this picture. And honestly, like, I'm not gonna lie, he took the most fire picture of me, like, literally ever. And, I'm actually gonna insert it right here. Like, yeah, I look, you know what? And the reason the picture is good is because of the subject matter, okay? And not because of who took it. And I'm going to stand by that. But anyways, the rodeo was good. The rodeo was fun. So that was the fifth date. The sixth date, my mom got tickets to this like outdoor, I can't speak right now, outdoorsman like show. It's like a place you go for like guys who like to hunt and fish. And he lived somewhere where he lived on a lot of land and he liked to hunt. His parents like lived on a lake and had a boat, and so he would fish too. And I was like, oh my gosh, like my mom has free tickets to this, like would you want to go? He was like, yes. So we go to this. It was really fun. Like we got food there, we walked all around, like he was loving it. He bought me like fishing boots. They're kind of similar to those like extra tough boots. They weren't that brand, but they were like basically the same exact things. Like gets me fishing boots, buys me a fishing pole. It was just like, I was like, wow, like this is legit stuff. Like I'm going with a guy to something like this. Like he's showing me his interests and his hobbies. Like he's buying things for me to like include me in his interests and hobbies. Like this is getting like kind of serious. Like this guy seems to be taking me seriously. I was like, great. And then the sixth day, this was towards the end of March at this point, I just went back over to his house and we did like a pizza movie night, and I made like homemade cookies from scratch. Y'all, like why was that home cooked meals, like cookies from scratch? I was really doing the most. Like I was out here feeling like Helen the housewife. Like I don't know what I was doing, y'all. Like please, Lord forgive me. Like I don't even know. But the date was good, and we had planned, this is end of March, we had planned to go over to each other's families' houses for Easter because it was the upcoming weekend. The last date was on a Thursday and Easter was on that Sunday. So on that Thursday, we had solidified plans to go over to each other's families on Sunday for Easter. And so you're probably thinking, this all sounds amazing. This all sounds great. Well, let me tell you how all of this came to an end in less than 24 hours. So you're going to have to come back for part 2. Part 2, story time of how my first boyfriend lasted less than 24 hours. If you haven't watched part 1, I posted that one yesterday, so go and watch that one first. Okay, so where we left off, last date, the Thursday before Easter Sunday, I was over at his house and we made plans to go over to each other's families' houses on Easter Sunday and do like a family introduction. So I'm over at his house, we're talking about this plan, we're kind of debriefing each other about each other's families, you know, like who is gonna be there, kind of like what they're like, you know, expectations wise. And before we even had like the family debriefing conversation, we kind of had a more serious conversation anyways. And so I'm like, okay, like the trajectory of this is getting really serious. Like I'm bringing this man over to my family's house to meet them on a holiday, which is very serious considering, like I said, I've never had a boyfriend. This would be my first boyfriend, and I've never brought a man over to my family to meet. So this was a big deal. And so we kind of do the family debriefing conversation. And after we get done with that, he just kind of looks at me and he's like, listen, I don't know how you're planning on introducing me to your family on Sunday, but I would really like to introduce you to my family as my girlfriend. Y'all, I was gagged. I was gagged and gooped personally because, I mean, I obviously liked this man. I was bringing him over to meet my family. You know, we'd gone on all these great dates. And I was like, oh, he wants me to be his girlfriend. Like, this is an official thing. I have a boyfriend now. And I was like, you know, of course, like I will introduce you as my boyfriend. You introduce me as your girlfriend. Like this is a legit thing now. So anyways, we have that conversation. The night continues on. I end up leaving eventually. Everything is good. You know, he walks me out to my car when I leave his house, watches me leave down the driveway. Everything's good. I remember texting all of my friends after leaving and I was like, guys, like I have a boyfriend now. Like he didn't really ask me. He said he wanted to introduce me, but like I took that as like him making things official, right? You say you want to introduce me to your family as your girlfriend. Okay, like we're boyfriend and girlfriend. Sorry, that sounds like so middle school, but anyways, that's how I was feeling at the time. I feel so high school. Anyways, that's literally how I was feeling. Little did I know. Anyways, we won't get there yet. So that was Thursday night. Friday, the day is normal. I go to work. He texts me Friday afternoon around 2:00. Also, a little note on him. He wasn't really a texter at all. And so not receiving a text from him until Friday afternoon was pretty normal. I wasn't really worried about it. But he sends me a text Friday afternoon around 2:00, 2 or 3, I don't really remember, to confirm what time he needed to be at my house on Sunday morning. And so I text him back and tell him, and that was that. Went about my day. Now, Friday evening, I went and got dinner with one of my friends. Obviously, we get dinner, I debrief with her about everything. I tell her, oh my gosh, like, I have a boyfriend, we're giggling, we're kikiing, we're having a great time, like, oh my gosh, Josie has a boyfriend, like first boyfriend, this is so crazy, having a great time, having a laugh about all of it. We get done with dinner and we go to Target, as girls do on a Friday evening. We peruse around Target for a few hours, fill up the cart, obviously. It's probably around 7 or 8 p.m. at this point, and we are walking up to check out at Target with our cart full of goodies that we obviously absolutely need. As we're walking to the checkout in Target, I hear my phone, you know, like ding, I get a little message. I look down at my phone and it's a text from him. So, you know, I like swipe up on my phone, open the text, and my heart immediately drops. Before I can even fully read anything, I just see that it is this big clunky paragraph. And like I said before, he wasn't really a texter. And when he did text, it wasn't really long messages. Like he had called me a few times when he had like more than 2 or 3 sentences to say. And so I was like, a paragraph, like what? And I remember just looking at my friend, I swear even before I actually read anything, I remember looking at her and just like, she tells me that when I looked at her, I just like looked pale as a ghost. And I just like remember all I could do was like laugh, because I was like, this cannot be real. In the text message, I don't even remember exactly what he said, but it was something along the lines of like, hey, I've been thinking a lot. Oh, well, maybe you should stop thinking, but I've been thinking a lot, and I just don't think that I can continue on in the way that you're wanting. I wanted to go ahead and end this now, like before it continued on any further. I didn't want to lead you on. Lead me on? I think it might be a little too late for that, but you know, gives me some BS thing, right? Like that. And then I remember responding to him, because I was just like so frazzled and so confused, because I'm like, where is this coming from? You literally texted me 4 or 5 hours ago solidifying the plans for Sunday, like what time you needed to be at my house. What has changed since last night and just a few hours ago when you were asking me about the Sunday plans? So I remember texting him, and I was like, okay, I'm confused, like what's going on? And so I just looked at my friend, and I was like, you know what, like I need to go outside. I'm gonna like try and call him. And so I walk outside of Target. I'm just like frazzled. I'm all over the place, you guys. And so I go outside of Target and I try and call him. The first call, he always had his phone on do not disturb, which really always really annoyed me. But anyway, so the first call obviously doesn't go through because his phone was constantly on do not disturb, whatever. Call him again. He ignores the call. And I know it's not that like he didn't see me calling. Like he definitely ignored the call, because right after he didn't pick up that call, he sends me another text of like, you know, like, I'm so sorry. Like, I think you're a great person. Like, it was really great getting to know you. It's just like better this way. Excuse me? And so at this point, I'm like, you know, the tears are welling up in my eyes. I'm getting really upset. I remember calling my sister, and just like the tears were flowing at this point. I was so upset, because I'm like, okay, you asked me less than 24 hours ago to introduce me to your family as your girlfriend, and now you were sending me a text message. You couldn't even have the decency to call me or pick up my phone call? Are you joking? And so I call my sister, you know, I'm crying. You know, she talks me through it. She makes me feel better. I gather myself outside of this Target. There's probably a million people watching me and be like, who is this girl hysterically crying outside of the Target? And at that point, I just didn't really care. And I went through the 5 stages of grief pretty fast. It was like denial. I don't really know the process of them, but let's just say I was at the stage of anger at this point, because I'm like, what? How dare you? So the last thing I sent to him was a pretty scathing text message, basically calling him a coward and a liar, because what he gave me was such BS. And I'm just like, how are you going to do all of that? Like, what kind of person does something like that? I genuinely, like, I will never understand. So I sent him a pretty mean text message, which you know what, I don't regret. He deserved that. And then I blocked his number, and then proceeded to go back into Target and purchase my items, because, you know, retail therapy. And what am I going to do? Abandon my cart that I spent, you know, an hour curating? No. I'm going to go back in and make my purchases and get on with my life, because what else is there to do, you know? And you're probably thinking to yourself, that is crazy. Like a complete 180, which yes, it was. And you might be wondering, Josie, were there any red flags? Were there any signs that this man could possibly do something like this and do you dirty? And unfortunately, now that I am 5 months removed from this situation, I can definitely confirm that there were some signs. So like and comment on this if you want a part 3, and I will walk you guys through all of the red flags that I looked over during our time of dating.
This is my experience hiking Half Dome as a 17-year-old girl with 0 hiking experience. Fully in the dark, by the way. Let's talk about it. So if you guys don't know what Half Dome is, it is one of the most deadly hikes in the US. You have to get a permit to go, because half the year there's these cables that are up on the side of a mountain that is 600 feet vertical after a 9.5-mile hike. So I went to Yosemite with like 3 of my friends who are pretty experienced hikers, and we actually planned this trip like literally 2 days before we left, and that's when I found out about Half Dome. At first, I was like, nope, I'm absolutely not doing that, especially when I heard you had to apply for permits for lottery. I never thought we'd get them. Applying for permits is not actually that difficult because we had 4 people and we applied for 3 days. Every single day, at least one of us got it. And the last day, me and my friend both got permits. It was the second hike I had ever done in my life, and the first one was literally the day before I did a 9-mile hike, so this was double that. I got very little sleep. I went to bed at 5 p.m., woke up at 10:30 p.m., and we started the hike at midnight. It's about 5 hours if you do the hike at like a normal pace, which we wanted to just stop and enjoy it, so it did take us about 5 or 5.5 hours to get to the top. And we brought 3 liters of water, tons of snacks, backpacks, headlamps, gloves, hiking shoes. I was wearing shorts, a tank, and I brought a hoodie for over. A pretty controversial thing that we did though is we did not clip in. This means we did not use harnesses. I actually initially wanted to, but my friend who like has hiked a lot explained to me it's actually more of a risk if the first time I use a harness is on Half Dome and I'll be too focused on clipping and unclipping than my actual footing and actually getting to the top of the mountain, which could cause more danger. Being the person I am, I actually wanted to do a ton of research, so I looked up a lot of TikToks, which led me kind of down a scary path because you can see a lot of the horror stories, accidents, and deaths that have happened on the cables and on Half Dome, which led me to make this video here asking for advice and people's experiences, and a lot of people were telling me really, really different things, and at this point we already had permits and plans to go, so I thought the only way to know the real truth about Half Dome is to experience it myself. There was a good chance though I thought I could fall to my death and die because I'm not a hiker. I've never really done anything like this before. I thought one wrong move, I'm down that mountain. I literally could die. So before we went at midnight, I sent all my parents and friends and loved ones like I love you texts. I sent my best friend all my passwords. The hike up actually was not too bad. Like me and my friends were sharing 2 sets of AirPods. We had music going. We were just chatting. We had radios, like walkie-talkies, and we were having a good old time. I'm actually happy that it was pitch black because I have a pretty bad fear of heights, and a lot of the time we were walking over like edges of cliffs and things like that I would have been really spooked by if it was during the day. So we took the John Muir Trail up, which happened to be closed, so we kind of like hiked over some construction sites to get to the initial like Half Dome trail. My friend insisted on not taking that many breaks because we really wanted to reach Half Dome at sunrise exactly, and we didn't want to get up the cables when other people were. I ate many Cliff Bars along the way. I think that's what kept me going was crackers, and Cliff Bars were honestly my favorite food. And I think 3 liters of water was good, but I probably could have brought a 4th one if I wanted to. They were not that heavy. So after almost 10 miles of hiking, we make it to Subdome where there are so many warning signs that will actually kind of freak you out. And up to this point, there were literally 0 people on the trail. And also, we did not encounter any animals, which was a good thing because that is definitely a risk of hiking this at night. I want to preface by saying in no way, shape, or form am I saying this hike is easy and that you guys should all go out and do it. I'm personally just sharing my experience. Up to this point, I was actually having a great time and not feeling that tired, but Subdome I heard was the most difficult part of the hike, which I can confirm is true. The thing about Subdome is it's a ton of switchbacks up a giant granite mountain. It's super long, and during the daytime I bet it is really, really hot, but at night it was actually almost perfect. My 2 friends that were really fast, they went up and kind of separated, and we were talking over the walkie-talkies, and there was a point where the switchback stopped, and it was just like scaling the side of a mountain on a granite slab that was near vertical. It was probably the hardest part of the whole entire hike. At this point, we see a couple lights on the floor below us, so we did actually meet like 3 nice men that were up there with us. They ended up ascending the cables with 2 of my friends initially, while me and my other friend kind of hung back and gathered our breath for a second after reaching the top of Subdome. At this point, I had made it this far, and I knew I had to do it, or I was going to die trying. I fully accepted the fact that this is so dangerous. One wrong move could plummet me to my death. I was just going to do it. I know it's really bad, but I was just going to do it. The funny thing is, when I reached the bottom of the cables, all my fear just went away. My fear of heights, my fear of falling, death, all of that just went away, and I had one mission. I had gloves, I had hiking boots, and slowly I just got to the top of the cables. And the sun started rising, and it was absolutely beautiful, and my friends were waiting up top, and I just had this song stuck in my head the whole entire time. It was Take It Easy by the Eagles, if you're wondering. And it took me about 20 minutes to get up the cables. It was an insane sense of accomplishment, and I just did not know I was going to be able to do that. There were so many chipmunks. I've heard nobody talk about that. There were literally probably 10 chipmunks on top of Half Dome with us. I've heard going back down is scarier. I thought going back down Subdome was absolutely terrifying, and I did crab walk on my butt a little bit on the way down, no shame, but it did get really hot, and about 30 people started going up the cables when I was going down. About halfway down the cables though, one of my friends had a kind of little scare because his soles fell off his shoes, or they were like literally coming off, and he did not know what to do, and the random man that we met was about to go bring my friend's shoes up to him to borrow down the cables because he was literally actively slipping. But instead, this random man on the cables, bless his heart, had tape and literally taped his shoes back together. So this hike ended up being 19.5 miles total from the parking lot to the top of Half Dome back down. My watch died halfway through, so it didn't show the exact thing all the way around, but I got like 50,000 steps. We took the mist trail down, which was super crowded and one of my least favorite parts of the hike because it was just kind of slippery, a little daunting, really steep, and so many stairs. I could not imagine what it would have been like if we took the mist trail up to Half Dome, so I would definitely recommend taking John Muir up and the mist trail down. Overall, it took us about 12 hours total because we spent 2 hours at the top, and all of me and my friends had an amazing experience, and we said we would do it again. I've talked about it a bit on here, but I've struggled with food and my body in the past, and doing this was an insane confidence booster, and it was a really big comfort just knowing that I could fuel myself and push myself to this sort of limit. Okay, I'm sorry, I know this is a really long video. I just had a lot to say about it, and I probably will not stop talking about this for the next week or so. 10 out of 10 experience though. The hike was easier than I expected. I loved it, and now I have amazing bragging rights. Also, no, I didn't train for it. I'm just a distance runner. And if you have any questions, just leave in the comments below. I would love to answer any of them. Bye, guys.
Story time on how my sister and her now husband had to be escorted out of my wedding reception. The whole story kind of backs up before the wedding even starts, so let me start at the very top. I let my sister live with me for the second time, a few months before I got engaged and we started planning the wedding. After she moved out, I started hearing things from my family and other people about how, once again, she was going around telling people that I could not take care of my children and that she had to buy clothes and stuff for them because I was not doing so. Mind you, I was letting her live with me for months, rent-free, eating my food that I paid for, using my rent that I paid for, my utilities that I paid for, telling people that I could not provide for my children. During Christmas time, she wants to come down and stay at our place for Christmas to see her nephews and our other family while she's up here. We talk about it and we say, okay, she's supposed to stay with us for 4 days, I believe it was. She gets there, she stays with us for maybe 2 hours and then disappears. So then she doesn't come back until the next day. We spend that day with our cousin. We go to the mall and we have like family time together. She drops her stuff back off at our place and leaves again. And then she keeps doing this. She comes and drops stuff off and then leaves again. She was not at my house or to see her nephews, who, mind you, were told that she was coming to see them, because that's what we were told, for an entire day at all, the whole time that she was down. And then she comes up with this story. Oh, all of this is alleged, by the way, allegedly. She comes up with this story about how this girl is stalking her. And my husband and I become extremely concerned because she says that this girl is violent and she's afraid. So my husband and I then, worried about my sister's safety, get involved, and we find out that this girl thinks that my sister is engaged to her. She thinks that they are fiancés, and my sister keeps disappearing on her. While she's telling us that this girl is stalking her, my sister is telling her that they're engaged. So we ask my sister to leave. And at that point, I tell her that she is no longer a bridesmaid, and we stop talking for several months. So several months go by, and she reaches out and apologizes. And it's never really like an actual apology. It's like, oh, time went on, so like, let's get over it. And so I try to, I'm like, hey, you're not going to be a bridesmaid, but you can still come to the wedding. And the wedding is still several months off at this point. We give her an invitation. We give her the save the date. The invitations have the dress code on them, by the way. This is important. So nothing really else up until the wedding. We get to the wedding. The day of the wedding, we tell people we don't want phone pictures. We hired a photographer, let her do her job, right? She still brings her actual camera setup to my wedding. My bridesmaids had to keep her out of the bridal suite where I was getting ready because she was trying to get pictures with her camera after we explicitly asked them not to. I then notice that she is acting strange. And so we go on with the ceremony, right? She is wearing an entire blanket wrapped around her at the ceremony. Mind you, it was October and it was fairly warm outside, and she has a blanket wrapped around her. Ceremony happens. As my photographer is trying to get everybody together for pictures, she comes up and is complaining and asks if her now husband can go change into jeans from his dress pants because they had to go out that morning and buy him dress pants just for our wedding and they need that money back, and starts complaining about the fact that they had to purchase dress pants. Mind you, They had the invitation that had the dress code on it months and months and months in advance. We're taking pictures, they just disappear. They're not in any of the pictures that we have. So we keep taking pictures, and then she goes and gets the pictures with just me and my husband, so everybody else is inside congregating, things like that, you know. We go back in and we do the food, and then a couple people brought gifts that we did, and then I go outside, and I'm outside with my husband, and they come up and they go, okay, we're leaving already. Like, you barely said 2 words to us besides complaining about his pants. So I'm like, okay, whatever, I guess. Mind you, at this point, I am oblivious to everything that has happened while my husband and I are trying to get our pictures taken. So we're wrapping up the reception now, and people are kind of like whispering, and my husband's kind of whispering to people, and I'm out of the loop. So I'm like, okay, what the heck is going on? Like, is there a problem? Like, what? I'm not understanding what is going on, because obviously something is wrong. So my husband comes up to me and tells me that the reason why my sister left so early is because our groomsmen had to escort her and her now husband out of our reception, because one of my groomsmen, or one of my husband's, one of our good friends, was going to use the restroom at the reception hall and caught my sister's now husband doing rugs in the reception bathroom at my wedding reception. It's not the kind that are legal now. And because my husband didn't want my day to be ruined, nobody told me until after the reception was already almost over, which I appreciate them so much for saving that for me, but it still makes me angry. So then I contact my cousin to tell her what's going on and explain the situation. And she tells me that on the way to our wedding, my sister and her now husband was already intoxicated, which explains why she was acting weird at the wedding, which explains why she had a blanket, like a comforter blanket, wrapped around her at my wedding. So we go on our honeymoon, and I don't say anything. We have a good time. We come back and I confront her, and she tells me that my husband, all of our bridal party, and other family members were all lying. That they're just lying because they didn't want me to have a relationship with her, and that he would never do that, and that she would never do that. So I have not spoken to her since.
Just got back from my tattoo appointment with no tattoo, and honestly, I'm just kind of in shock right now, and I don't. So basically, I wanted to get a stick and poke tattoo, and locally, there's nobody that does it. There's nobody who does it for like 2 hours away from me, and I found an artist with some like art that I liked, and we talked on Instagram, and she was like, tell me what you want, and when you come here, we'll get you tattooed. So I drove the 2 hours, and on my way up, I get a phone call from her, and she's all like, hey, so can we push back the tattoo appointment 2 hours? I have a really bad headache, and I'm not feeling good. And I'm like, oh, I'm so sorry to hear that. Yeah, I'll just like go get lunch or something, and then we can meet like in 2 hours. And then she's like, later she texted me, she's like, oh, I only need 45 minutes. And it was like, great. So I got lunch, and then I went over to the place. It was really hard to find, so I was a little bit late. And then she was like, look, I don't think I'm gonna get you tattooed today, but we can treat this as a consultation, and we can go over the art that you want. I was like, okay, so I'm gonna have to make this drive again. Great. Which, fine, like, I understand, but it was whatever. And, you know, she was so nice. We had a great time. I just did some homework while she did her drawings. She ended up just doing more drawings and stuff, because I talked about what I didn't like, and then she was doing the drawings and stuff. So I ended up leaving. Skip a month to today. Today was the day I was going to get the tattoo. Or I thought I was. So I do the 2-hour drive. I'm supposed to get there at 11 a.m. I get there 10 minutes early, and I text her, hey, I'm here. She hasn't responded yet. I'm like, okay, whatever. I'm like 10 minutes early. It's no biggie. 10 minutes go by. Still nothing. I mean, it's okay. Like, it's only just started. Another 10 minutes go by. It's 11:10. I'm like, this is kind of weird. And I'm just kind of sitting out in the heat. It's like low-key like 80 degrees out. It's just hot. So, and I parked around the block. So I was still waiting. It's 11:20. I'm like, okay, let me go get my car and park and just wait for her to respond, see what's going on. Still nothing, so I decided to go get lunch. And then I come back and I keep trying to call her. I've called her about 5 times at this point, and it is now 12 o'clock, and she hasn't said anything. I decided I was just gonna leave. So I left, and I am now back home. And she has not responded to anything that I sent her, and I'm just, like, this is, like, I can't believe, like, this is a professional. Like, she has the whole page, she has so many tattoos done, and I'm just kind of in disbelief, because what the heck? And she knew that I was doing this drive, and I just feel so disrespected, but I don't know. It's in the Richmond area, Richmond, Virginia, so if anyone's getting a tattoo soon, DM me, because I'm not gonna, like, dox this person, but, like, if you want to stick and poke, yeah.
So I live in Toronto, in Distillery District to be specific, and Sunday night I was walking my dogs and I had a man follow me. It was pretty scary. I've never had anything happen like this. Like, I've been catcalled, like, uncomfortable situations with men, sure, but nothing like this. So I was walking my dogs out front of my building. I live on Mill Street. So I'm walking down and I get to, like, the end of my building and I see this man, like, walking towards me, like, right at me, like, staring at me, walking right at me. I'm like, this is weird. Like, maybe he's just gonna walk past me. Not a big deal. So instead of turning around, because that's the direction he was going, I turn right to go to the side of my building where, like, the parking garage entrance is, and, like, you can walk behind the building. Like, I wasn't gonna go there, but I saw some cars there, so I was like, hey, there's people there, this is kind of safe, I'm just gonna walk to the side and stand and see what happens. He starts following me. There's a car that comes out of my parking garage and her window's open, thankfully, so I'm just like, hey, help. And then I look at her, she makes eye contact with me, and I'm like, I think this man's following me, can you just pretend to know me for a minute? So we were just talking. She's like, yeah, he's following you. So he walks up around her car and goes behind the building and is just standing there waiting. She can see him waiting. I can't. And she just, like, took a picture of him or filmed him. I didn't get her number. I should have, just to get this as evidence. Whatever. Hindsight. And then after, like, a minute, I'm like, okay, like, I'm going to book to the front. It's only 8 p.m. It's light out. There's lots of people outside. So I book it to the front. She drives really slowly just so, like, it makes it harder for him to, like, run out. He starts following me back to the front of my building. So I just walk really quickly with my dogs back to get in the building. I get in. I close the door behind me. He comes around the corner, and between my building and the next building to me, there's, like, a little courtyard. He gets in between there. There's all glass doors. I have to wait in my lobby for a minute because there's another dog who just entered before me with my dogs who are reactive. So the elevator's just around the corner. They're waiting. I'm peeking to see if this person's gone. I have my dogs pulled to the side. I see this man and he's, like, looking around. Like, he was very clearly looking for me. It was so scary. And he had this, like, crazed look in his eye. He wasn't a homeless man. Well, he didn't look like a homeless man. He was in normal clothes. He was, like, 6 feet tall. I would say, like, either white or, like, light skin brown, possibly. He had, like, thick glasses, just a gray hoodie. He was just, like, pretty normal looking. I would say maybe anywhere from, like, 25 to 35. Like, it's so hard to tell people's age. Like, I'm 36. I think he looked around my age from my guess. And then I get inside and, like, I have an 11-year-old daughter. So, like, I didn't want to freak her out. So I was like, I'm just going to deal with this in the morning. This is, like, not an emergency right now. Like, I'm okay. I'm inside. I'm safe. So the next day I call the non-emergency line. And it's, like, a half an hour goes by. I hang up. I just call, like, the police station, like, the division that's near me, and I'm like, hey, I want to file a report. They send me back to that same non-emergency line, so I wait another hour. I then hang up. I'm at work, so I'm just, like, in an office by myself doing work while I'm on hold. No answer, so I hang up. I'm too busy for this. So then I end up going to the police station at the end of my work day, and I'm there for about an hour just trying to fill out a police report. They don't take reports in person there. Fun fact. So it's impossible to file a report, essentially, if it's not for something you can do online. This is not an online report filing circumstance. So I am there for like an hour. They're during a shift change, so it is taking longer than usual. It's fine. It is what it is. I just want to get this dealt with. The cop that I dealt with, he suggested I get some bear mace, which is illegal, but he's like, if you just say that you've been followed before, a cop's likely not going to charge you. I hope that's true. I want to get bear mace, but I'm also scared. So we'll see. I don't know about that yet. Anyway, he files for a call to be sent to me. 1 a.m, the police are knocking on my door. I work full time. I have a child. I have dogs. Like, my spouse is also sleeping. Like, it was so frustrating. And then they text me saying, you have to call 311 since you missed our call to you. Like, they're at my door. Like, so the call was them coming. But they're at my door, and like, they send me a text, you have to call 311. The wait for 311 when you call, I don't know if anybody's ever called 311 in Toronto, but it's a long wait. I'm not doing that. Like, I'm over this. Like, I wanted to just do this to help someone else who might have been in this situation with this man and weren't as lucky as me. Now I'm not going, it's just such a deterrent. It's such a hassle. I've spent 3 hours already trying to file a report. It's been a lot. I don't know if the system's broken, what's broken, but something needs to be changed because this is really frustrating.
Talk about the crazy things that people have said to me throughout this process. And starting with I would still say that we're friends, but like, we're not actively like really in each other's lives anymore. But one of my longest friendships, who I like years ago could not have imagined my wedding day without her being in it, why I'm not inviting her. So we have like kind of lost touch over the years, like honestly moved away, you know, just like living different lives. So going back to when me and my fiance first started dating, I was living in Denver at the time, and she had texted me that she was going to be in town and wanted to like stay with me, you know, see me, whatever. We hadn't seen each other in a while, but she's always been one of those friends where it's like we would go time and then just kind of like pick right back up. So she came and stayed with me, and when I tell you, like, I cannot even believe these words sometimes when I say them out loud. So also a little bit of background. If you've seen some of my older videos, like, you might know this, but my last relationship ended because my boyfriend passed away, and that was almost 8 years ago. So if we go back to 2023, it was fall of 2023 when we first started dating, and she came to visit, and she met him. You know, we went to trivia together, I think, or something, and, you know, got to hang out, whatever. She said to me while she was visiting, I don't remember exactly, like, she didn't say it in front of him and not like immediately after meeting him, but it was on that same trip that she told me that I wasn't allowed to find somebody until she did because I already had my turn. I'm sorry, who says that? So I kind of just brushed it off. Honestly, like, it's not the most shocking thing I've ever heard from her, or what, like, not super surprised to hear something like that come from her. But still, like, that's crazy. That's like next level crazy. And then, you know, after that, like, we've stayed in touch like every couple months, you know, on birthdays we text each other or whatever, but we're, again, not actively in each other's lives. I also used to be really close with her whole family, and when I got engaged, you know, I posted about it, and I had seen that, like, within a couple of days of that, I also remember seeing like a post that she had made, and I liked it, and, you know, whatever. And then a couple of days after we got engaged, she tried to FaceTime me, and I missed the call. I called her back, you know, we kind of played phone tag for a couple of days. Well, when we finally talked, she was telling me, you know, she said, congratulations, all that. Okay, great. But then she was telling me how she doesn't ever get on social media anymore, so she didn't see it, you know, whatever. Okay, I don't really believe that, but it's not a big deal. I don't care about that. She told me that she found out because she was in the car with her brother and sister-in-law, and her sister-in-law asked her, did you see Ashley's news? And she said, oh, like, what news, you know? And so her sister-in-law proceeded to tell her that I got engaged, and she saw it on Instagram, whatever. And the next thing that she said her sister-in-law told her was, or said to her was, so how do you feel about it? Like, why do we care how she feels about it? Like, can we not just be happy for me? I'm sorry, what? And then like I just kind of brushed these things off. We're talking, I'm asking her how things are going, whatever. And she asked me about going dress shopping, and I told her, that we were probably gonna have a short engagement, and that I was going dress shopping in a couple of weeks, whatever. And also, kind of like backstory, we used to work out together all the time. We would do CrossFit and like all this, we would work out all the time. And I just got pretty lazy and didn't work out for a long time. And I like jokingly said that. I was like, I think she was at the gym actually when she called me, which is how this part came up. But she asked me if I had still been working out or if I'd found a new gym, because we had moved not too long ago. And I was like, honestly, no, like I'm pretty lazy. I, go on walks with my dog. I occasionally go work out, whatever. The next thing she said to me was, oh, well, once you start trying on those dresses, you'll wish that you had been working out. Again, like, who says these things to somebody? Like, just so crazy. And honestly, we're not close enough anymore that I really let it bother me, but it's been one of those things that I just cannot stop thinking about. Like, I cannot fathom saying that to somebody when this person has been in my life for so long and she just got engaged. Like, can you not just be happy for me? Like, just insane. So when we started making the guest list, to be honest, I didn't invite her. And before that phone call, I definitely would have invited her. For sure. I mean, there's been things throughout the years that like definitely rubbed me the wrong way. But I also like, there have been times throughout the years where I haven't been a perfect friend and like, whatever. But when she said that to me on that call, I was like, I'm sorry, you're not coming.
Immediately start attacking her in Instagram DM. Grab some popcorn because I'm gonna be telling you guys the story of the first time I ever got scammed as an influencer. It actually happened within the last like week or two, and I found out I got scammed yesterday. It all started when a brand reached out to me on Instagram DM like a couple times asking me to collab, and I honestly just like have been busy, haven't gotten to a lot of that stuff. She asked me to make a TikTok and post her product, which is like a gummy, on my Instagram story and make just like TikToks and Instagram reels for them. Being completely upfront, it was like a little bit suspicious just because they didn't have a lot of followers, but I do like to work with brands who are still growing, which is why I responded, and I did quote her the highest end of my rates. It was like a decent amount of money that I would be making to just make one TikTok and post it on my story. So just a little background, sometimes when brands want you to do TikToks and post for them, they'll also ask that you give them a review on like Amazon or their website. But a lot of the times, in order to do that, you have to at least bought it off their website. Sometimes companies will be like, here's a promo code for free shipping and free product, buy whatever you want, make your content, and then can you also give us a review? And it's all included in like my rates and my package. She asked if I could order it myself on the website, and she gave me a code for it to become free. I went on the website and I ordered the gummies and it was free. But at the bottom, it asked for my credit card number. I thought was a little bit odd at the time. Some websites, like you just have to put in a credit card number to make it go through. I even asked her in Instagram DM why I had to put my credit card information in, and she gave me an explanation that honestly kind of made sense, which is why she was able to scam me. Luckily, I was smart enough to put a credit card and not a debit card. I did in fact put my parents' credit card, besides the point, and I submitted the order. She told me to give her my order number, which is also kind of weird. At once the order was delivered to me, to let her know, and she'll send me the content brief, which is like everything I should say and do in the video. So this happened last week. Yesterday, my mom calls me and says, did you order something from Lamora? Yes, I am going to be saying the brand name because they freaking tried to scam me and they messed with the wrong girl. So I will be saying their name and I'm going to tag them in this video. Anyway, so my mom called me and said the bank is calling, asking if you ordered something from Lamora. And I honestly didn't really remember the name of the brand because they're so irrelevant. So I went through my Instagram DMs and I checked, and it was Lamora, the brand who I ordered the product for free from. So I responded to my mom and I said I did order something for them, but it was for PR and it was free. Turns out she actually is making a business off of scamming influencers. So she waited like a week and then charged my parents' card, $50. $50 isn't that much, but nobody steals from me. So, or my parents. Immediately start attacking her in Instagram DMs. Know what you're doing, this and that. The money didn't get taken off of my card because it was fraud, so she didn't even get away with it. I specifically told her that I will be posting about her on social media. This is their Instagram. They have me blocked because obvious reason. Influencers or anybody looking to buy health gummies, do not purchase from them. Do not work with them because they are scammers. I'm wondering if I'm ever gonna get these gummies. That is my first time getting scammed as an influencer. Bye, guys.
I once had a man tell me that none of the women in my town were attractive while he was on a date with me. To preface, I had met this man off Bumble. I think I was about 18 or 19 at the time, and he had just moved from Texas. So he didn't have a car, and I picked him up from his house. We were gonna have like a little cute chill date where we go to the grocery store, you know, like get snacks, watch the sunset, those kinds of vibes, right? And after the grocery store, we get back into my car, and my car won't turn over. And I'm thinking, shit, I don't know this man. This is kind of sketchy, and really the worst case scenario, because I was calling and my dad was gonna come help fix my car with this random ass dude here. He knows I'm on a date. It's awkward for everybody. At least I thought it was awkward for everybody. As we're sitting and waiting for my dad, this man starts talking about how none of the women in my town are attractive. He's been walking around, you know, it's just really hard that none of these people he really finds attractive. And I'm like, why is this man on a date with me saying this stuff? Like, it's not coming to me that he's negging me yet. And I'm like, what is going on? And he pulls up my Bumble profile and another girl's profile. And I don't know where that girl's from my town or from Texas. And he starts comparing our profiles. And he's just pointing out the differences between her and I, how he mentioned how he just loves that I'm not very put together and I don't really do a whole lot, and that he really likes a girl that's like done up and stuff, but me, you know, I barely take care of myself. And I'm like, what is going on? I just had this man like pick me apart here, and I was silent because I'm like, I can't believe this is happening right now. Like, I was so shocked that someone would actually compare me to my face. But you know, it was like the backhanded compliments, like, you're really pretty, but it was always like a, you know, something else, like, oh, you're really pretty, but you could do your makeup better. You're really pretty, but you would look better if you wore this outfit. And I just really, it rubbed me the wrong way that he was comparing me and this other girl. I don't know if women from Texas have different beauty standards or what, but I was just like, kind of insulting that you think none of the women in my town are attractive. Like, I think they're all beautiful. And so, as you can imagine, very awkward experience. My father ends up coming over and like helping us right as this man is like comparing me and this other woman, and he gets out of the car, shakes my dad's hand, introduces himself, and then it's like, I really like your daughter, blah blah. I don't even know him. I haven't even been hanging out with this guy for more than an hour, and he's gonna meet my dad, shake his hand, say he really likes his daughter. What after he was just comparing us? Crazy. I ended up driving that man home. My dad followed behind us, and I never ever spoke to him again, and I blocked him.
Okay, so many people have asked me to do a story of my husband. We met on Facebook 4 years ago. He lived 3 hours away. He's from a teeny tiny town in eastern Kentucky, southern, however you would say that. And at the time, obviously, I wasn't looking for a relationship. I was looking for a hookup, if I'm being perfectly honest. But I drove down there to meet him, and we had been talking for a couple weeks at this point. And I drove down there, and he was just everything. I stayed down there, I don't know, like 10 hours, and we literally just talked about everything. I had already told him that I had 5 kids, but I asked him again, like, is that an issue for you? And he never bat an eye. He was like, they're children. Like, why would you having 5 kids be an issue for me? He had 2 kids as well, so we knew that first day that we were going to be together. But we knew like we were going to have 7 kids now. At that time, neither one of us really wanted another kid. We do now have a baby together. She's 1.5, and he is just
the most amazing man. He's so funny. Not too funny, so don't be laughing at his jokes. He's a provider. He's loving. He's nurturing. He's nurturing. He's just everything. Like, he's everything. I went from working 2 full-time jobs. That's what I was doing when I met him, was working 2 full-time jobs. And then I went down to just serving a couple nights a week. And then I was working as a personal assistant for an insurance company. So my job was to shop, to where it got to a point where he's like, if you don't want to work, you don't have to work. If you just want to be home with the kids, be home with the kids. So that's what I do. Like, and he fully supports me, my 5 children, our baby, 2 kids, and he helps with them. And he's just the most amazing father. I don't know where me and my children would be if not for him. He raises them as if they're his. He loves them. He teaches them as if they were his children. And that's all a woman could ask for when finding a partner. Like a woman with children could ask for when finding a new partner. My ex-husband had always told me that I would never find love again. He would say, like, oh, you'll be able to find a hookup, but you'll never find somebody who wants to actually be with you because you have 5 children and mental illnesses. But I did. And he's amazing. He opened or started his own business about 1.5 years, 2 years ago. It has blossomed. We are so incredibly blessed to not struggle in this economy, and that's because of him. He busts his ass for us every single day, working 7 days a week, 10, 12, 13, 14 hours a day, and then comes home and still pours into us. He's just perfect. I could go on and on and on about this man. I could make this a 3-hour video. Truly, I was so blessed. And looking back, I truly believe I had to go through what I went through with my ex-husband to fully appreciate my husband. I think I was always meant to be with him. Both of our moms have passed away. My mom passed away when I was almost 6. His mom passed away about 5 years ago. So about 1 year before we met. And we joke and say, like, because there was no reason for us to meet. We lived 3 hours apart. We joke around and say that they plotted together to put us together because they knew we were what each other needed. My husband has his own demons that he battles. He's a recovering addict. We have built just such a beautiful life together. And I couldn't ask for anything, anybody more or better than him. That is my perfect hubby. He's amazing. He checks all the boxes and then more boxes that I didn't even know were boxes. And he has loved me through all of this. We met before I knew about the affair. And I mean, this man held me while I cried when I found out. He has fixed a heart that he didn't break, and he has helped repair trust issues that he didn't cause. When I decided to make these videos, he told me, he's like, babe, you're gonna ruffle feathers. You're gonna piss some people off, but I support you and I will stand by your side however far you wanna take this. If you wanna tell every single story and people wanna get pissed off, he's like, I got your back. He said, if you just want to tell a little bit and you piss people off, I got your back. He said, however far you take this, know that I support you and I'm with you. Like, whatever that looks like. He said, my number 1 priority is always you and our children and your safety and making sure that you're okay. Physically, mentally, emotionally, all the things. And that is my why with him, because he's perfect. How many men do you truly know that would... He knows that I don't have family of my own. So my ex-husband's family became my family. So I do holidays over there. During football season, we're over there on Sundays and we're watching games. We're there for Christmas and Thanksgiving and Easter and birthday parties and all the things. My ex-husband's family. With my ex-husband there a lot of the times. And he goes with me and allows, for lack of a better word, me to still do these things because he knows how important these people are to my life. Like how important my ex-mother-in-law is to me. And I don't even call her my mother-in-law, that's my mom. And her husband, my dad, and their like, that is my family. My ex-husband's brother works with my husband. They're best friends now. My ex-husband's other brother has 3 children. Those are my nieces and nephews. I'm auntie. Like, that's my family. And he, at first it was kind of weird. He was like, I don't know about this, but he's seen how much they mean to me, and they welcomed him in. My mom, like, that's her son-in-law. Like, she'll tell people, that's my son-in-law. That's my daughter and my son-in-law. We got married in her front yard. And it's his support and love that is what I love so much about him, because there's not many men who would be comfortable with this. And he knows my love for him, and he knows that, he just knows. I don't know.
Oh, this is extremely vulnerable and uncomfortable for me to share. I've shared a little bit about this before, but I think I'm just gonna start documenting that, like, where I'm at in this process, and like telling my story so that I can put this out there, because I feel like there's nothing, like there are no resources. Nobody knows like what direction to point me in. Because of like what I've been a victim of, I don't have the ability to like go hire a lawyer or anything like that. Like, I'm trying to figure out exactly what to do in this situation. So from March of 2019 to late December of 2022, I was a victim of a sex trafficking ring in the jungle in Costa Rica. It was American people that I was there with. There was one girl from Brazil. There's still, all these women are there other than me. I was the only one to escape, and still the only one who's escaped. And there's girls that have been there for like, I think like pushing like 10 years now. And there's one man in charge, and him and like his next girl, like his right-hand man is what he called her, like his most devoted, like follower. They were arrested in February of 2025. And since then I have heard nothing from Costa Rica. And just like the nonprofit organization that I went to here, it's called Always, here in Phoenix, to like originally like report the crime, and kind of went through all of this with, and like had help from like their social worker and everything. Like even they don't know like what direction to point me in at this point. Like even my DHS agent that was working with me here in the States like has no idea, like no update, anything like that. So I'm just like kind of in this weird awkward spot where like I don't know what to do. But basically I was not in charge of my finances for the years that I lived there, like completely, like not at all. Didn't have access to my credit cards, to my bank accounts, to my passport, anything like that. This girl that was like the cult leaders or sex trafficking king's like right-hand man had all of my personal information and would make these calls and get approved for credit cards. And her and other people amongst the group would go and take my debit cards from my bank accounts, where I was getting the money transferred into my account from doing SMEX work online. I worked out of a shipping container in the jungle. It's just, or a tent. They would go and take cash out from these ATMs. I made close to $1 million, I think, maybe, sorry, $800,000 over the time that I was there. And when I escaped late December of 2022, I came away with like $60,000 or $70,000. So I think I'm just gonna start posting about this whole situation and my experience with it, and potentially even like contact the news or something, and just start calling like lawyers and tax advocate people and getting as much information as I can. I know that it's been a while since this has all happened. But I got pregnant like 3 or 4 months after returning home from the States, and just had a rough time during pregnancy and postpartum, and have just really felt like my life is on hold. And to be completely honest, it's just so I just want to avoid it because it brings up like so much emotion and just like old stuff like that I feel like I haven't processed all the way when I approach this sort of thing. But I am like ready, and I feel like I'm like solid enough ground and foundation, and just have so much support around me that like I really need to do this, because literally like the IRS is like coming after me, and they're like, hello, like you owe us like $116,000 in taxes. And I'm trying to figure out what I can do, because I feel like it's such a unique situation, and I can file this affidavit for fraud, but I'm going to be claiming that like there's hundreds of thousands of dollars that I never received in the first place. And I've tried doing this with the credit card companies and several times, and they just say like, sorry, but you're responsible for this. So if anybody has any recommendations or like any kind of experience similar to this, I'd love to hear about your process. Thanks for listening.
Okay, so I have a little bit of a dilemma. My husband and I went on a vacation like a month and a half ago, and we rented an Airbnb, and it was really nice. And the pool was okay. I mean, it was a big pool. It was like 7 feet. So it was like an old house. But it was like remodeled and everything. It was really nice. And there was a fenced in backyard. Like we had to have that for our little golden doodle. And so we had everything fenced in. So it was good. So we were like, whatever. So the lady that had the house, she contacted us one time, which was fine, and said, do you like everything? Is everything good or whatever? And we're like, yeah, it's great, blah, 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 right? And we did have a really good time. And then my husband went to Publix to get food, and we were gonna like grill out and stuff. And like I'm in the pool, okay? I'm in the pool. And I'm like laying down, I'm like hanging out on the float. My other dogs are inside. And my little dog is outside because she wants to run around and be like in the fenced yard. And I was like, I could see her. The fence yard was not that big, but I could still see her. I could see her, what she was doing. Everything was like covered up. There were no holes or anything like that, so she couldn't get out. So I was just like hanging out in the pool and stuff. So I'm hanging out in the pool. She's running around in the yard, and here comes the landscaper guys, the lawn guys. And so I jump out of the pool, don't even get a towel or anything. They come into the back side of the gate of the back of the house where the pool is. And so I jump out, get on the sidewalk, and I'm like, stop, because my dog is on the other side of the fence, and she's barking, and she's like running towards them, and he's not stopping his lawnmower. So I run over there and try to grab her. And of course, she's a little puppy. So she's like barking, and like she won't leave, and she like won't get away from him. And I'm like trying to explain to him, turn off your lawnmower. And I'm trying to grab her, and I'm running through the yard. So he turns off his lawnmower. The other guy comes in, and he has one of those weed whackers. And I'm like, oh my God, I was freaking out. And I somehow grabbed Romy. I grabbed her. She's tiny. And I said to the guys, I said, I'm going inside. Go mow when I'm inside. Please don't come out here when my dog's here. And they were like, okay. And they were really nice. And I was like, thank you, blah, blah, blah. So we finished our vacation. And then when we come home, I was like, that just didn't really sit with me. Like, I just felt very uncomfortable. Why wouldn't you tell me the landscapers were coming? And I thought maybe it was just like she just like misunderstood, or she didn't say anything, like, the landscapers are going to be here. Like there was a whole booklet of rules for her house, but she didn't say anything about the lawn guys coming or the landscapers coming. So we left the house. It was really nice. As soon as we left the house, the housekeepers came, everything like that. There was 4 beds. We used 1. So the housekeeper didn't have to do that much. So, she was happy about that. Like, I don't know how many days it was, but she was like, thank you for, like, I'm getting mad thinking about it. she was like, thank you for taking such good care of the house. It was very clean, which of course we did. We did the dishes. We did all this stuff, right? Everything that is normal that you should do when you leave someone's house. And we did. So we get home and like, I wasn't even thinking about it. I wasn't thinking about really anything. And then all of a sudden, maybe like a couple days later, I was like, you know, I haven't left her a review yet. And I thought, I think I'm upset. So I told my husband, and he was like, it's not a big deal. You know, she didn't tell you about the landscapers or whatever. And I was like, that is a big deal. That is a big deal. To me, that's a big deal. So I waited until like maybe 4 days ago. And I was like, hey, I just wanted to let you know, because she had left me a really good review about how the house was so clean when we left. And I said, sorry, it took me so long to get back to you, blah, 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 you know, chit chat. And she was like, that's fine. And I said, the only problem that we had, which was kind of significant, was the fact that we were not told when the landscapers were coming. And I said, and my dog was out and she was in the backyard, and I was scared to death that they were going to run her over because they did not understand me when I was saying, please turn off your lawnmower. So the guy, you know, there's always like 2 or 3 people that, you know, interact with the Airbnb people. And it was this guy, and his name was Jeremy or Jimmy or something. And he's the one that wrote back to me. And he goes, yeah, unfortunately, we don't know when the landscapers come. And I go, you don't know what day your landscapers come? Don't you own the house? And he was like, well, we don't know exactly when they come. And I said, well, my dog could have been killed, because if I would have not been in the pool, if I would have let her in the backyard, she could have been killed. And there was no response. And when I think about it right now, it makes me absolutely furious. Absolutely furious. Those landscapers would have run over her in 5 seconds if they didn't see her. And they obviously didn't see her because they were still on their mowers. So am I in the right? I'm in the right. I don't care what anybody says. Actually, I don't care what anybody says. I'm in the right, because they could have killed my dog. And that would have been the worst thing in the entire world. So I will not be booking with them ever again. That's all.
Dating in Arizona is so whack. Okay, I went on a date one time with this guy, and he tells me to meet him at the restaurant, so I do. He's sitting at the bar when I arrive. I go sit next to him. We're exchanging pleasantries. Everything's fine. He's kind of shy. It's kind of awkward, but I'm like, whatever. Maybe he's just nervous. 30 minutes later, he really breaks out of his shell, okay? He starts telling me how he's racist. And I was like, oh my God. Alrighty. And he's telling me how he hates Mexicans. And I'm like, do you know that I'm Mexican? And he was like, you don't look Mexican, so it's fine. And I was like, okay, all right. So the date just continues to get worse, because he will not stop yelling about how he hates this person and that person and these types of people and that and this and that. And I'm like, oh my God, he's just talking so loud. And I'm like, oh my God, I'm like, quiet down a little, you know, because I'm like looking around to see if anyone's listening, because he's literally screaming about how he hates races and like this and that. And also, like, this guy was mixed. So I'm like, what do you mean that you're racist? Anyways, so after that, we go to a speakeasy that's like around the corner. And I know I should have ended the date, you know, but I really wanted to see where the speakeasy was. We were there for like 10 minutes, and I was like, oh my God, I have to leave. He was rude to the bartender, didn't even tip him, so I had to tip him. And then when we're walking back to my car, he pushes me into a tree. And it's like one of those trees that has the cement square around it. So I stubbed my toe on the cement. My toe's gushing blood, and he's laughing, and I'm like, why is that funny? I'm like, that hurt. And then he's like, yeah, I thought it was pretty funny. And I'm like, okay, great sense of humor on this one. And so I was like, alrighty then, I'm gonna head on home. The next day, I'm leaving my apartment, and guess who lives in my apartment complex? This dude, okay? He lives right next door to me, and I had to continue to see him for months until I moved.
Dating in Arizona is so whack, story number 2, okay? I went on a date with this guy who had been repeatedly asking me out for months, and I kept saying no. But then one day I was like, you know what? I'm gonna give you a chance. Anyways, he picks me up at my apartment. Never let a man pick you up from your apartment or where you live on a first date. Horrible idea, okay? Prior to the date, I told him repeatedly that I don't drink. It's just a personal preference. And I told him, I don't care if you drink, obviously, but I'm not gonna drink. Fast forward. We get to the restaurant, we sit down, the waiter comes over, he asks us what we'd like to drink. And I said, I'll just have a water. And my date goes, bring her a glass of wine. And I was like, I don't want wine. I already told you I don't drink. And so I was like, no, I'm okay. And then my date was like, no, like bring her some samples, we'll see what she likes. Okay, I don't drink, right? So they bring me the wine samples and I'm like, I don't want anything. And then they're just staring at me, like him and the server are like buddy, like trying to get me to find a wine. So I'm like so uncomfortable. So I grab the little sample, take the most annoying little sip of it. And I'm like, okay, thanks for the sample. I don't want anything. He proceeds to order me a drink. And I look at him and I say, I'm not going to drink it. And he was like, that's fine. I just got it for you. And I was like, okay. Then he tries to offer me a sip of his drink. And I was like, I'm okay. Thank you. So that was my first red flag, okay? Because this man could not take no for an answer. Like, he just really wanted me to drink with him. And I was like, I don't want to. Okay, first red flag. Second red flag, he's ordering his food and he doesn't like vegetables. So he's like, I want to substitute this. And they're like, oh, sorry, we don't do substitutions because nice restaurants usually don't do substitutions. Whatever. So I was like, I'll eat it. Like, you can have my mashed potatoes and I'll eat your asparagus or whatever the frick it was. And so his food comes out. And there's vegetables on his plate and he freaks out and he's like, I didn't want these. I told you I didn't want these. And the server was like, and I explained to you we don't do substitutions. And then his steak was too rare for him. So I was like, do you want to switch steaks? I prefer my steak like medium rare, medium. His steak was like rare. And I was like, I don't care. I'll eat it. I was like, you can have my medium steak. Okay. So we switched steaks. He still doesn't like his steak. So he tells the server, I'm not paying for this. I don't want this. And the server's like, okay. So they take it off the check, okay? Second red flag, like just eat your freaking steak, okay? Anyways, next red flag is the tab was like $250 and the server took off his steak, okay? And this man pays for it. And when it comes back, he opens up that checkbook, opens up his wallet, takes out 3 crumpled up $1 bills and places it in there as the tip. And I was like, no way you just tipped $3 on a $250 tab. So then my date wants to go take a picture outside. So he asked the server assistant to come take a picture of us outside. And I was like, I don't really want to take a picture with you, but I was like, whatever. So I take it on my phone so that there's no documentation of it on anyone else's phone. And when I'm giving the server assistant my phone, I hand him $70 and I'm like, please go give this to our server. I am so sorry. Like, tell him I'm so sorry. This was so awkward and he did a really great job and he did not deserve that crumpled up $3 tip, you know? So that was the other red flag. And we get to my apartment and then he tries to kiss me and so I don't kiss him. And then he goes, do you want me to come up with you? And I was like, absolutely freaking not. I was like, good day, sir. You know? Horrible date.
Hello everybody. I just wanted to share a quick story from the life of working at a small local boutique in my hometown. So yesterday, we'll get to today in a second. Yesterday, I closed. We closed at 6:30, okay? And this lady comes in like maybe 2 hours before we close or something. I don't know. She comes in, she brings up like some vitamins, some serums, some nail file kit things. She wanted to buy all of it. So I'm like, absolutely, no problem, obviously. And then she was looking down in our jewelry case at our Tova jewelry, and Tova is one of our expensive jewelry brands. And so she asked me if she could see a bracelet, so I showed it to her, and she was like, can you hold this for me until tomorrow and I'll come back and get it? And I was like, absolutely, like, I can hold it for you. So I proceeded to check her out for everything else, and her card declines. So she tries again, decline. And she's like, what's going on? Like, and I was like, I don't know. Like, it just says decline on my side. Like, I don't know what's going on. And so she was like, well, can I just come back tomorrow? I lost my debit card, so can I just come back tomorrow? So I was like, yeah, I'll hold it for you. You can come back tomorrow. Did not think she was going to show up. So today, 10 minutes before I close, mind you, the boutique I work in is in a pharmacy, and the pharmacy closes at 6:30, and so for whatever reason, they want me out at 6:30. So I usually use those 5 last minutes to close the registers and get out. So she comes back in 10 minutes before we close. I'm like, oh my gosh, you've got to be kidding me. So she comes up and she's like, I'm back. I'm like, oh my gosh. And so she's standing there talking to me because she was like, you look the exact same. Like, were you wearing this yesterday? I swear you've been here, like, you never left. Yeah. And I'm like, bro, I literally, like, maybe it's my hair. I don't know. Like, I don't know. Finally, she was like, okay, I'm here to buy my stuff. So I'm like, okay, let me go get it for you. So I bring out all the stuff and I lay it out on the counter, and I'm like, okay, do you still want all of this? Is there anything you don't want? So she still wanted all of it except for 2 things, but still she wanted me to hold the bracelet to tomorrow, and she'll come back and buy the bracelet tomorrow. So I'm like, okay, fine, whatever. But she was gonna buy the rest of the stuff, and then she went away for a second, came back with some like lotion and stuff that was on sale. And so I start checking her out, and I go, okay, like, it's ready for you. It's $78. It's ready for you. Decline. Oh, I'm sorry. It didn't go through. It's declining. Okay, let me try again. Decline. And she's like, I don't understand why it's declining. Like, I have $600 on my Venmo. Like, blah, blah, blah. So she tries again. I receive a $6 payment. So she still owes like $71. And then, because I thought she was going to buy all this, I had it all in a bag, like, ready to go. And so she takes the bag. I don't even know what happened. Like, she took the bag and she kind of, like, started to walk away. And I was like, you still owe $71. She was like, what? And I was like, you still owe $71. I only got $6 from you. And she was like, I don't understand. And I was like, I don't understand either. Like, you say you have $600 in your Venmo account. I don't know. I literally don't know, because she's doing it all from her phone, because she said she lost her debit card, so she's doing it all from her phone. Like, I don't know what she's doing. And so she's just like, kind of like, she doesn't really know what to do. She's just kind of standing there like mumbling, I don't know. Mind you, it's 3 minutes before we close, and I kept saying, like, I'll hold this for you until tomorrow, like, you can come back tomorrow, because she was like, what time do y'all close? And I was like, we literally close in 3 minutes. So she's like, okay, hold it for me and I'll come back tomorrow. I'm like, okay. So I held it all for her, and she's coming back tomorrow. And I hope she comes when I'm not there. But anyways, yeah, that's like twice now. And I don't ever want to judge somebody based on the way they look, even though I'm about to judge her on the way she looks. She looks a little sketchy, okay? She looks like she don't need to be spending all this money. But you never know, and that's why I don't want to assume anything. But she's coming back tomorrow. She's coming back. So we'll see if she comes back, and we'll see if she can buy all this. But I'm probably going to tell my boss about it all tomorrow and see what she has to say. But I'm like, I can't hold all this for you for days. Like, you can't keep coming in here and your card declining and then me just holding it for you another day. Like, girl. So I don't really know what's going on. But, yeah, that was yesterday and today at your good old local boutique here in the middle of nowhere in Missouri. So live, love, love.
Story time on how I got sent to boarding school after my freshman year of high school. I realized I need to just sit down and yap about this, because every time I mention it to someone that I went to boarding school for high school, they're like, please elaborate. I went to boarding school in the middle of nowhere. The town is actually a mile long, and the school was kind of sketch, so it did get shut down shortly after I left there, but it was a very interesting place. My first day, I walked onto campus, and the first thing they did was said, hi, my name is blank, welcome, I need your cell phone. Gave them my cell phone, thought they were gonna have me download some type of app. No, they took my cell phone from me. Back to how I ended up there. My family believes in consequences. They do. So I was facing a consequence. You see, I went to public school my whole life. Great, I did great. It worked really well for me. I know it's not for everybody, but I was in like pretty much high honors programs my entire duration of being in public school, which was from first grade to my freshman year of high school. I was always pretty good at like working with my teachers. I was pretty much a straight A, B student my entire life. The only comments I would get was that I was chatterbox in class, but like, you know, all smart people are. My parents never really had to be concerned about my grades for real. I was fine. I wasn't really the kid you had to pay too much attention to. It wasn't until my freshman year of high school that we got my first report card back, and my parents were like, what is going on? What didn't help my case was that I couldn't just tell my parents that it was like too hard, because the summer going into 8th grade, so after 7th grade, so this is 2 years before I was in my freshman year of high school, my parents took me and my brother in to get testing done, just to see where we were at in terms of like our knowledge in terms of math, English. I think it was math and English. So we went in for testing, and my parents expected it to be like maybe a year in advance, because every single summer and on weekends and stuff, my dad would make us do like extra homework all the time. So we'd be doing work for like just extra homework. I don't know, kind of like how there's Kumon. We were doing Kumon basically at home. So I took the test, and I scored at having the like amount of knowledge that the average 11th grader should have when I was coming out of the 7th grade. So my parents kept up with this whole having me do extra work and stuff. So I was extremely smart. There was no excuse for me to be failing all my classes. I would say my freshman year, I don't think my friends noticed, but I was on just like such a decline for me. I felt like I was really confused socially, and like my identity just wasn't concrete with me. I would just kind of go with the masses. I would do whatever everyone else was doing. I had no sense of independence and self. I started not doing that well in my sport anymore. I was always really good at soccer. I was just slacking. I stopped practicing. I stopped caring. I'd come to practice late, wouldn't always remember my stuff. It was just kind of like whatever to me. I didn't really care. I didn't strive to be the best anymore. And all around, I think my mood was just on a decline. And I would say I probably was experiencing some form of like a depression, because I felt like when I would come home, I just want to like kind of lock myself in my room. Nothing was really like upsetting me. Like my parents being upset about my grades, I was like, I don't care. So I really don't care that you don't care, that like you're upset. I think my parents' last straw was when I got like a C in gym, because I was a fairly active child. And then I failed out of my freshman year at public school. I had a 2.3 GPA, and I got asked to come back for summer school, which I did, and I didn't even do that well in summer school. At that point, it was the summer, and I didn't have a lot of options, and my parents had me interview at some really high-end private schools in New Jersey, and they were just like, her grades are literally insane, absolutely not. And there was only really like one option for me, which was this kind of sus school in the middle of nowhere. It was in between New Jersey and Pennsylvania. So I got in there immediately, and I would soon learn why they take everybody there. But it was one of the best things that ever happened to me, because I was able to just like fix myself. I was able to develop so much sense of self with so much just like self-isolation and being around like honestly a lot of strange kids. I had my friends there, but it was 90% strange people. Very scary situation going on there, very interesting. But there were some positives, I would say, like it really did contribute to me being how I am now. But I can make a part 2 on the actual experiences there, because it was crazy. All right, bye. Okay, so yes and no. This is very complicated, because when I went to boarding school, I had no phone. I was in trouble. So my phone was taken away, but my phone also only had 2 numbers on it. I could only call my mom and my dad. So I didn't really need the phone anyway. I also didn't have Facebook anymore. My mom took it from me, and I didn't have access to like social media for the first few months of me being at boarding school. So I was kind of isolated and forced to get to know the people around me. And I was like 14, 15, so I wasn't really looking for loopholes, didn't really care that much. Like I said, I was a sad girl all the time, so I didn't really think I cared. Honestly, pretty immediately, I kind of just chose to only be friends with my Black friends, and it was because life also chose that for me. Keep in mind, I was in conflict with myself. I grew up in a predominantly white town, but it has a very strong Black community, and everyone is within a degree. It's not even 1 degree away. We're all like 0.1 degrees away from one another. So I had these friendships since before I was born, right? My parents worked and lived in the city, and so a lot of these friendships that were developed are really like family ties at this point. Like our parents already had it in their minds that like we were gonna be friends at some point. My parents made sure that I was around Black people. I played soccer, and I was on a predominantly Black team. I went to summer camp. My parents made sure that they talked to the other Black parents in town and sent us all during the exact same weeks. We would all have the same transportation to and from. So I built a lot of pretty amazing friendships with young Black girls in my town. And even when I did fall off of communication, like I was in so many programs that I would see them all the time when I would come home from boarding school. So I was in Jack and Jill. My parents made sure I did not miss an event, a meeting. So I was there all the time. I did cotillion. It was the same group of people. And my parents just made sure they stayed on top of me maintaining my Black girl friendships. So one, I cared about those friendships a lot. They were very important to me, but also naturally, even though I wasn't the best at communication at the time, I was seeing these people like 2 to 3 times a month anyway. When I did get access to like iChat and all that, I was kind of a different person at this point. I kind of knew how to practice discernment in terms of my friendships, and I had the people that I loved and I wanted to catch up with. I only had access to like free internet or like real internet from 7:30 p.m. to I think 9 p.m. So when you only have an hour and a half to talk to your friends a day, you're really making sure that you're talking to like your favorite people. And it was actually really easy for me to like form a friend group, which we're still friends to this day, because all of my friends that were in like Jack and Jill, soccer, cotillion, all the things with me, they all went to different schools as well. So I wasn't missing out on stuff like on a daily basis. We would all reconnect on weekends, and I would come home most weekends after I dealt with like, you know, the stuff. So out of like my 6 or 7 friends, none of us went to the same school. One of my best friends also went to boarding school. 3 of them went to different private schools throughout the area. Like one went to public school. Yeah, but we were all over the place throughout like Essex County / New Jersey. Once I got like better and stuff, my parents would let me host all the time. So me and my girls would get together on a Friday night. As soon as I would get home, my parents picked me up at the train station. I would go home. Me and my girls would get dressed. We'd go to high school parties. Like I did live a really good, well-balanced life, and I did end up becoming like fairly known, not for anything bad, just I ended up being kind of known in the area. So I mean, I had like older sisterly figures, once again through the courtesy of my parents introducing me to these people, keeping me locked in this community. So I was around, like I had a really good life. And what was great about it is that I could go back to boarding school and shut that ish off and focus on my grades. And I had no internet, so I was really like, you know, trying to make up for all the damage I had done my freshman year, which I had so much time to do. Okay, hope that answers that. Bye.
Straighten my hair with me while I tell you guys all my boy problems. This is going to span all the way to 7th grade, so bear with me. I also have really good memory, so I remember all of this like it was yesterday. We're going to call all these boys by the first initial of their name, so bear with me. Okay, so in 7th grade, I started liking this boy. We're going to call him Mayonnaise because his name starts with an M. But I started liking this boy named Mayonnaise, and I thought he was really, really like cute and all this kind of stuff, whatever. We exchanged a few words, but we never actually ended up like talking. And then he said that he'd put a bag over my head and all that kind of stuff. I played Fortnite with him a couple times with Lion. We're gonna call him Lion. So in 8th grade, I start talking to Lion. I was at my aunt's house for a birthday party, and I had ended up locking the car door with my phone and my AirPods in it. In all of October. Like, we talked the entire month of October. Very long, right? Very, very long. And then he just started acting really, really dry, whatever, and then I ended up getting ghosted. Him and Mayonnaise, I go to school with both of them, but I'm chill with Mayonnaise now. Like, we'll exchange a couple words, whatever. But, yeah. Freshman year starts. You already know. This is where I wanted to die. We're gonna call him Apricot because his name starts with an A, whatever. And I'm actually on really good terms with him, so I could really just say his name, but I'm not going to. But anyways, back to my story. Freshman year, homecoming, whatever. So later that I noticed the boy and I was like, he's kind of cute. So later that night, I texted the friend that I went to homecoming with, Emily, and I was like, do you know who that was? Like, da-da-da-da. And I think she had told me that he was like looking at me too or whatever. I don't remember exactly what she said, but I ended up finding out his name, okay? And I added him on Snapchat, and then we started talking, and then we ended up dating. October to January, okay? So we got together in October and we started dating in October and we broke up in January. That's a long time to me, because as someone that was my first relationship, we were like this, okay? We hung out one time at my dad's house. But whatever, it is what it is. That breakup kind of stung because it was my first one, but it's okay. We do talk sometimes, like we do FaceTime sometimes. I'm just gonna say his name. His name is Ashton. Whatever. We're on good terms. He's chill. I won't see him again. He moved, but he's chill. I fuck with him. Whatever. Okay. Now, did I fuck with him in 9th grade? No, I didn't like him in 9th grade. So I haven't talked to a boy since then. Like, I was locked in on myself. Well,
past year I was a sophomore. I'm about to be a junior. Well, way back on Snapchat, we're gonna call him Broccoli because his name starts with a B. And he's gonna know who he is if he watches this video because his name starts with a B, you motherfucker. I'm gonna fucking kill you. But, that lasted a good 3 weeks. I don't go to the same school, so I won't ever see him. Like, if I go to a baseball game, I'll see him, but I don't usually go to the baseball games. But if I go to, like, a football game and he's there, I might have to kill myself. I was scrolling on Snapchat one day, and I was going through my quick ad, and I was like, oh, this boy named Broccoli. His name's not actually fucking Broccoli, you dumb fuck. He added me, so I added him back, and he was like, you literally live, like, 2 houses down from me, because he lived in the same neighborhood as my dad. I don't really live there, and I thought that was weird. I was like, who is this? So I was like, oh, really? And then we ended up talking. He was like, you're cute, I want to get to know you, blah, blah, blah. So, whatever, we start talking. We're cool, whatever. Well, he goes from, like, us hanging out, like, constantly, like, him coming to my dad's house a couple times, me going to his house, him picking me up from my mom's, whatever. Because I don't have my license yet. I get my license in, like, a week. But everything's chill. I mean, we're good. We hung out at his dad's house the first time that I went to his house, and, like, the last time I ever went to one of his houses. But whatever, I get to his house, his dad leaves. In my opinion, his dad was giving him a chance to make a move. You get what I'm saying? Whatever. Nothing happened. I literally fell asleep, whatever. But not even a week later, like a couple days later, I just noticed that he wasn't like saving my stuff in chat anymore. He wasn't like really talking to me anymore like he used to. Like, I'd text him, I'd have to text first and all that kind of stuff. So I was like, well, this is strange. So I was like, asked him if he really like liked me and all that kind of stuff, and he's like, where is this coming from? And I was like, just forget about it, whatever. Like, vacation kind of for a wedding. And I was like, okay. And while he was there, I didn't talk to him like at all. Like, we maybe exchanged like 3 words, and that was him saying good night, baby, pretty girl. I don't remember what he called me, but he called me something. Well, I was going through my following one day and I accidentally unfollowed him, and I was like, I'll follow him back, whatever, it's chill. Forgot to follow him back. I want you to tell me if this makes sense to you. He texted me the next day because the night before he had asked me, he was like, do you want to hang out, da, 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 da. And I was like, I don't know, it's Mother's Day, I might be going to my grandma's house, I don't know yet, but I'll let you know. I ended up not going to my grandma's house, but he was just like, okay, whatever, blah, blah, blah. The next day, he's like, why'd you unfollow me on TikTok? And I was like, oh, I didn't mean to. Like, I was going through my following, I forgot to follow you back. And he's like, that's BS, but it's chill. Right, because why would I lie about following? This wasn't the first time he accused me of lying. Well, after that, he just kind of stopped talking to me, really. And then I had told him that, like, I missed him or something. And I had fallen asleep right after I sent it, and then a couple hours later I had woken up and went on Instagram because my cousin DM'd me about something, because that's the only way that me and my cousin talk. And I had woken up. Well, a couple hours later I go on Snapchat, because I didn't wake up immediately and go on Snapchat. Who the fuck do I look like? I'm almost out of time. But I'm gonna have to make a part 2. Sorry. But he was like, aw, I miss you. And I was like, the fuck? So I was like, what does aw mean? And he was like, you're opening my stuff after 7 hours. And I was like, I fell asleep. He's like, but you were active on Instagram 2 hours ago, so why are we lying for nothing? Why would I lie about sleeping? Please go to part 2, because it gets better. Okay, this is part 2 to my last video. So I left off at where he was calling me a liar about sleeping. Like, who lies about sleep? I'm sorry, I fell asleep. But yeah, he called me a liar and was like lying for no reason. Whatever. I'm the type of person that I can't take a hint. Like, or sometimes I can and I pretend that I can't. So then you'll tell me straight up how you feel and what's up. So I think that's what I was doing to him. That's what I was doing to him, actually. I was pretending not to be able to take a hint, just so he'd tell me straight up.
And I ended up getting him to tell me what his reasoning was behind not wanting to talk to me. And this motherfucker goes, I just don't want a relationship right now. Right. Funny, it's funny. He forgot, I guess, that he lives in the same exact neighborhood as my father and my brother who can drive. My brother saw him with a girl 2 days after we stopped talking. My brother was like, oh, well, I heard rumors. Rumors? That he cheated? What are you talking about? Because they go to school together. Him and Broccoli. And I was like, tell me more. Apparently some girls went around saying that they were talking, which makes sense. But, texted him that night, and I was like, hey, just so you know, if we're gonna be friends to hang out, I am not hanging out with you if you have a girl. If you're talking to somebody, if you're dating somebody, no, it's not gonna happen. I'm not about it now. So, and he was like, oh, I'm not talking to anybody, Right. So I was like, okay. And then I was like, well, my brother Hunter said that he saw you with a girl literally 2 days after we stopped talking. So, and then Broccoli goes, what girl?
Stop saying. No, I said I'm. What? Stop saying, man.
What girl? Girl, if you don't get on my face, go. Honors heard rumors, and he was like, what rumors? And I was like, oh, just cheating rumors, but I don't know how that makes sense because we never dated. And he was like, oh, this, I'm just gonna say her fucking name, Ella girl, was going around saying that we were talking. This makes sense. It clicks in my brain. When I was at his house, an Ella girl texted him talking about some hey hands. You motherfucker. Right. So whatever. And then like a couple days later, I told him that I was unadding him on Snapchat because like I was attached to him. Teenager in 2026, and a lot. And I had texted him multiple times, like a damn stupid ass, dumbass bitch, and all that kind of stuff. And mass added him on Snapchat, whatever. He blocked me on Snapchat. Cause I woke him up. Oh no. You hoes don't get to sleep, okay? So I was like, okay, whatever. And I called him I was with my best friend Cameron at fireworks, and we were texting him. Like, it wasn't even me texting him, it was her. Sorry. Then, fast forward to that night, actually, it was that night. I was so mad at what he said that I actually, like, threw my phone. I thought I was gonna call this motherfucker and I was gonna kill him. But, like, you forget that I know where you live? I have your address memorized. I forgot about this. Well, this is gonna make sense in a moment. My brother, I think this was the day after he had told me I was attention seeking to the max. The day after, I sent my brother's girlfriend the screenshot, and I was like, this is crazy. Like, what are you talking about? And my brother was driving down the highway, and he saw Broccoli on the side of the road with his truck. Ooh. And he was like, what's his number so I can call him about his truck? I just thought it was going to be a normal conversation about the truck. The reason why I thought it was going to be a normal conversation about the truck is because my brother wants a truck, but he has a Mustang instead, so that's why I thought it was going to be a normal conversation. But no, my brother was clowning him because apparently the bolts, Broccoli tried to squat his truck, and the bolts flew off when he was driving down 95. You stupid. I don't know much about cars or trucks or all that, but I have a stepdad who has taught me things. But if you're going to put something on your truck or any motor vehicle with bolts, tighten them up to the point where you can't tighten them anymore. Then hit that shit with a drill. That's the only person I have given his number to. I did not mention this, but the reason why I said that he's the only person I've given his number to is because Broccoli thinks I have my friends call him. Like, bruh. The only person. I had my phone on Do Not Disturb, and I was trying to go to bed. And I look, and it said I had been no caller ID like 3 times. And I was like, the fuck? So I texted him about it, and I was like, did you know caller ID? You're the only one that has my number. There's like 2 boys who have my number. One being Ashton, and he would have called me straight up, and you. So I was like, this motherfucker. But I was like, okay. So whatever. And then, because I don't be giving my number out like that. Like, only a few people have my number. Like, I talk to people on Snapchat. I don't text back and forth like that. But it was like 12 o'clock and I was sleeping. They called again. Okay, and I'm gonna put the voicemail I got in. That's the voicemail I got out of the no caller ID. What is that? And it sounds exactly like broccoli or what he do. So I was like, okay. So I texted him again and I was like, it's just funny that you're the only one that has my number that wouldn't have called me straight up. And he was like, my recent calls. You can delete recent calls. I went and talked again. Chloe's not talking to anybody. Chloe doesn't want to talk to anybody. Chloe's actually in her hoe phase. Y'all should see my Snapchat. It's bad. Yes, my Snap score went up 20,000, 30,000 in a month. Not even a month. But those were my boy problems. I hate all of you. Come back. No, I hope he comes back because when he does, oh, I'm on his ass. I'm on your ass. But yeah, those were my boy problems.
You know what I was just thinking about? Karens are going to be completely extinct by the time it comes to our generation. I'll tell you why. Our generation, I feel like we're just have so much pent up anger that we're like ready to like unleash on someone. So like if there's a Karen at the PTA meeting, Stacy in the green Altima with the blue hair will kick her ass.
Hi everyone, I wanted to make a little video and talk to you guys about my husband's story and just kind of how we found out everything. So for Christmas this year, my husband wanted, like, he's always talked about wanting to just get blood tests done so he can know like what's going on with his health and just like work on improving his health from there. And so in the end of December, he got his labs done and they were a little bit concerning, like a lot of inflammation. His blood count levels were a little bit concerning. They were like a 12, but we didn't really know that they were concerning at that time. It just, a lot of things said abnormal, so we were just like, okay, let's work on this. Sometimes I think I'm a doctor, so I try to do a little bit of research and get him on a few supplements that I thought would help, and we were just gonna like reevaluate in 6 months. And then a couple months later, he started getting these night sweats that kind of came out of nowhere. He would wake up in the middle of the night like literally drenched in sweat, and it wasn't hot because it was like February and we live in Utah, so it's cold in February, like freezing. And it just progressively got worse. Like it started out like once a week, and then it was like a couple times a week, and then it was like every night. And that was concerning to me because I'm like, you're a male, you shouldn't have night sweats. Like, you're not postpartum, you're not going through menopause, I don't know why you're having night sweats, this is really weird. And we just kind of brushed it off, and he thought, you know, it's just hot at night, like I just get hot. He's also had a few other symptoms, like he couldn't regulate his temperature very well, and that progressively got worse. Like in June, we were in Arizona, and he was working from home, but he would go outside and work like in the hot sun. It's like 105 degrees, and he would work outside because he was freezing in the house, and it wasn't cold in the house, it was like 75. So just like weird things like that. Some other symptoms were he had been dropping weight like probably over the past couple of years, but it got a little bit more significant like in the past 6 months. Nothing that we really noticed because we weren't weighing him. He also developed a little bit of a cough in Arizona, and I tried to brush it off. That it was just like allergies or something. He also started urinating a lot during the night. Like he would get up very frequently to go to the bathroom, which is something a 25-year-old male doesn't do a lot. So that was a little bit of a weird symptom. And then when we got home from Arizona, this trip in Arizona happened June 5th through the 11th or something, so really recently. He kind of had a shortness of breath. Like he would go upstairs and just be like so out of breath, couldn't catch his breath. Like it seemed like he had ran a marathon or something. Like something weird was happening. And that day that we got home, we also went to Parade of Homes. Basically straight from the airport, we went to look at some homes, and his ankles were swollen when we got home that night, and I was like, that's a little bit weird. He actually noticed it. He thought it was a little bit weird. His ankles have never been swollen before, so why his ankles swollen? Like, we travel all the time, so we've never noticed that. That was a little bit strange. He actually had a primary care doctor's visit scheduled for July, but I kind of just decided on June 12th, the day we went to the ER, that we couldn't wait any longer. We needed to figure out what was going on with him, because a lot of people in my family, we don't visit Arizona a ton, but maybe like every couple months, a lot of people in my family were telling me that they were worried about Chad because of the way he looked. He was very, very pale, and he was skinny, and I see him all the time, so I didn't see a big difference. But these people who don't see him all the time notice a difference, and so that really pushed me to think, okay, I think something really bad is happening, and we need to figure this out. We also thought it was heart issues. My family has an extensive history of heart issues, and I freaked out, and I called him crying, and I was like, we need to go to the ER, I think, like, and he's like, I'm fine, I'm at work, why do we need to go to the ER? And I'm like, I don't know, we just need to go and make sure that you're fine. And thank goodness that I had that prompting and that push from my whole family, because we went to the ER, and thank goodness we did at that time, because we caught it early. We went to the ER at about 5:30. I finally convinced him to go, and we got there. They did, and Chad kind of told him, I think something's going on with my heart. I have shortness of breath, and like I've had a cough, and like all of his other symptoms. And so they took labs, and they did an EKG on his heart, and his heart came back normal. His labs were super abnormal. His hemoglobin levels were a 7.9, and they're usually like a 15 to an 18 for his age, living in Utah. So very, very, very low, and they actually do a blood transfusion if you get under a 7. So we were really close to that, and they basically came back. They did chest x-ray too. They basically came back and said, you're just really anemic, and we're going to send you home because we don't know what's going on, but something's causing you to be anemic, so just follow up with your primary care doctor and try and figure out what's going on. That's all they said. And they were going to discharge us from the hospital, and then about 5 minutes later they came back and said, your chest x-ray just came back, and we found something really concerning, so we're going to do a CT scan on you. So they wheel him back, do a CT scan, and then he comes back, and we're just waiting, and we're just kind of like, I don't really know what they're gonna find, kind of just like hoping it's nothing bad, but they seemed very panicked when they came in. And so they got the results back, and they all came in. Tons of people came in, like there's probably 10 people in the room with us, and they just said, your lymph nodes are really enlarged in your chest and neck, and there's a ton of them, and it looks like lymphoma. So we need to send you to a different hospital so you can meet with an oncologist right now and figure out what's really going on. But they were pretty confident it was lymphoma. And so we basically were like, okay, he has cancer. Like, what does this even mean? We don't know what lymphoma is. Like, what is lymphoma? Obviously his lymph nodes are enlarged, but like, what does this mean? And like, what stage is he at? Like, how do we know this? So this is when they sent him to, they were going to send us to a different hospital in Salt Lake City that had an oncologist. So we called his mom, and called my parents. His mom was with Lennon, sleeping here, because we had never left Lennon for a night. Like, we've never slept away from Lennon at that point. And so we were just kind of like not really sure what to do, but she stayed the night here. Lennon went to bed, great, thank goodness. But we called her and told her that they probably think Chad has cancer, and that was really hard, because if you guys know Chad's family, he has an extensive history of cancer. His brother died of neuroblastoma when he was 4. Chad wasn't even born yet. His mom has had breast cancer. His uncle died of Hodgkin's lymphoma. Well, not of Hodgkin's lymphoma, but he had Hodgkin's lymphoma, and then died of another cancer later in life. But just a lot of cancer in Chad's
family and history, so I'm gonna do a part 2 because this is such a long story. But bro, I love walking around SF in little lad shit like this, and then old men just look at me and they're like, and I'm like, hey, yeah, I'm a woman, but I'm wearing jean shorts to my knees. Isn't that crazy?
Ready with me while I introduce myself. I'm a very private person by nature, so sharing information about myself like this is very uncomfortable. So hi, my name is Abigail. Most people call me Abby. I am 27 years old. I'm turning 28 on October 26th, which makes me a Scorpio sun, a Capricorn moon, and a Pisces rising. For anyone into Myers-Briggs, I am an INFJ. I grew up in a very small, conservative suburb in Orange County, California. I have one older sister. Her name is Amelia. I'm grateful to have grown up there, but it's definitely not the place for me. I went to college at UC Santa Barbara in 2016, and I got my bachelor's there in mathematical sciences. Don't really know why I did that. I don't like math. I was pretty lost in college and just didn't really know what I wanted to do with my life, and I still kind of don't. But I had a really great college experience, but I did struggle with my mental health a lot at that time. So looking back, there's definitely so many things that I would do differently, including my major. I graduated in 2020 during COVID, which was an interesting way to enter the real world. Started working pretty much right away. I got a job at this consulting firm in San Francisco. So after COVID kind of lifted, I moved out there. I was in a relationship pretty much all throughout college, which was another regret of mine, but we both graduated. He really wanted to move to San Francisco, so naturally I moved to San Francisco. I lived there for about 2 years. I got another job when I lived out there working in tech, and I eventually got laid off from that job when the whole tech bubble kind of burst. Moved back home, broke up with that loser. I had a really hard time finding a job after that. I was unemployed for a year, a little over a year, I think. Anyone who has ever gone through unemployment, at least like in the corporate world, knows how soul-crushing it is. Actually landed a job at a beauty company here in LA, and so I moved out here. That was about 2 years ago, and I've been here ever since. While working at that company, they asked me to model for them for just like a little internal thing for their makeup artists, and that was kind of how I got into modeling. That was like my first experience being in front of a camera, really, and I just loved it. I had the best time, and I thought, why not try to do this outside of work? So about a year ago, I signed with my first modeling agency here in Los Angeles and kind of started to dive into that world. I stayed at that job for about another half a year until I realized that it just wasn't for me, and that the corporate life in general just wasn't for me. I've always been a very creative person, and I feel like I kind of lost touch with that, trying to make other people happy and like do what my parents wanted me to do. But I never really felt fulfilled at any job that I had, and I was just very, very unhappy. So I left that job this past September, and I have not looked back since. It's definitely been an adjustment to not have a full-time traditional job, but I just feel more myself than I ever have, and it's been a lovely little adventure. When I first quit my job, I started nannying just so that I could have
a consistent source of income. For anyone that knows, modeling is very inconsistent and you don't get paid until like months after you work. So I started nannying, and then eventually had to stop nannying because it was interfering with my modeling schedule. Now I work at a cafe part-time as a barista, and that kind of brings us to the present day. Modeling has been such a great experience, but it has also been incredibly challenging. I've never done anything like this before, and I also don't have anyone in my family that has done anything like this before. I think that it has challenged me and helped me to grow a lot as a person. I don't really know what my long-term plans in life are, and I'm approaching 30, so that is kind of terrifying, but I'm having a great time, so I feel like that's all that matters. Really love movies, and I'm actually starting an acting class next week, which I'm so excited about. I also love to read, just any sort of like homebody activity. I've been single for I think almost 2 years now, which is crazy to say. Truthfully, I have not had the best experience dating in Los Angeles. At the same time, I really love being alone. I love not having to answer to anyone. And so I think I'm okay with it for now. I'm done getting ready, so I'm gonna wrap this up, but I hope that whoever watches this enjoyed getting to know me a little bit, and I hope I can connect with people who are kind of in similar positions in their life or have similar interests. Thank you for watching.